国の時代とともに自分の人生を再現して作るっていうような部分があったことは確かです。
So 50 years is quite long. Start from the 60s through 2015, and those 50 years actually runs quite parallel to my own life. And so I can really plug into Chieko and reimagine what he sees during those various decades.
それと時代がどんどん60年代から現代に近づいてきますけども、舞台の上の物語は江戸時代の、つまり300年以上前の物語のまま止まってるんですよね。だから時代が変わってもその歌舞伎の舞台の物語は変わらずに伝統的に続いていくってことを表現したいと意識しました。
And when I was going to KOKUHO, from the 60s to present day, everything around the theater is changing. But the Kabuki Theater itself was established during the Edo era, so a couple hundred years ago. And so I was very intentional in creating the contrast that everything outside of the theater is constantly changing, but we come back to the Kabuki Theater that is a very constant state.
That's interesting. That's a visual cue to the eye. Very interesting. Did you have trouble in locations? Did you have to make something look like 25 years ago and 40 years ago? Did you have to dress up your locations, pick up your locations? I know sometimes people will take CG and remove air conditioners and things like that. Did you have those kinds of challenges in, again, recreating Japan of that era?
実はそのロケーションでVFX や CG で作ったり消したりした部分っていうのはすごく少ないです。ほとんどそのまま撮れる状態にドレッシングしましたし、あとリアルなのでオーセンティックに見えますけど、たくさんセットが混ざっています。で、一番最終的な後半4分の1ぐらいに出てくる日の元座っていう劇場は、実際にそう長く使える大きな劇場もなかったってこともあって、セットで劇場そのものを作りました。
So actually in KOKUHO, there's very, very few instances when we had to remove an air conditioner and things like that. For example, we were very cognizant of being able to use what we see as is. And generally, obviously with my approach, all the different sets will have different elements about them that would be slightly different from a real kabuki stage. But one of the challenges is that you cannot rent a kabuki stage or theater in Japan that actually exists. So the Hinomoto Theater that we see in the last quarter of the film, that was actually that's a full build.
On a sound stage in Tokyo or interesting?
In Kyoto.
In Kyoto.
So location is Kyoto and Osaka, the Kansai area.
I have had the pleasure to I have been to Kyoto, I have been to Osaka, and I can attest, Kyoto, there is a special feeling. Kyoto is a special place. It is a very spiritual place, and just the gorgeous palaces and scenery, really incredible. Let me ask.
We actually use one real Kabuki theater in Kyoto. So Minamiza, that one is for real. But the last Kabuki theater is studio.
And was that tough negotiations to get into filming there?
It was actually not, but it was, I think, not easy to dress up, and also we need to be careful of all the equipment and everything because it's old.
Chieko, let me ask you, I gave my thoughts on the themes of the film, but let me ask you, working with director and just, shaping the story, tell me how long you worked on the project, kind of from the time that you really started to work on it. I know from reading the director had it in his mind for a while, but really when you started working. And I'd like to know from you what you think the really important themes, the resonant themes that are connecting with with audiences.
For me, I started about 4 or 5 years ago when the director already had a main actor attached to it. And for me, the most universal, I thought, theme was a life and, sacrifice.
Yeah, so how much you need to give up in order to, and talent, but in order to get where you want. So the actor's sacrifices.
And also, more and more when you want to pursue your art, you become lonely. But that doesn't mean it's sad. It also makes some artists happy. So it's this complex pleasure and life of an artist that no other people can understand. But still, I think a lot of people could resonate that. And I thought that was universal.
Very much plays that way. I thought it was interesting too, the portrayal of kabuki as an art form. It's both, you see it is performed in bars, it's performed in rowdy parties, but it's also sublime at the most, the most prestigious venues that the country has. You show the range of how kabuki and that form of entertainment works into Japanese culture. Was that very intentional on the part of wanting to show the range of how kabuki intersects with Japanese entertainment and culturally?
平民の方から大舞台までいろいろいろんな幅広くあるかっていうのは初めからやりたかったある計算で。
そうですね。僕の視点からすると、この映画の最初のシーン、長崎の小さな料亭のシーンなんですけど、そこで小さな歌舞伎の舞台から始まるんですよね。で、最後つまりだんだんそのステージが大きくなって出世していって人気が出て、でまたその土佐回りの小さな舞台に戻りますけど、最終的に日本一大きな劇場で最後踊るっていう、このなんていうんですかね、だんだん大きくなっていきたいっていうことは監督の狙いでもあったし、この映画の持っている一つの方向性、どんどん広がっていくっていうところがあると思います。
So from my point of view, in that first scene, we start in Nagasaki at a small inn, and it's a very, very small troupe. And then we see the journey, he gets onto the bigger stage, and then he's back on the smaller stage. And then finally, he's able to be the top performer. And there was always an intentionality from the director about we're always progressing and going in that direction of getting bigger and bigger.
本当に歌舞伎だけではなく、どの踊りとかアートもそうだと思うんですけども、例えばシェイクスピアの劇でも本当に村の小さな場所から誰かの家のパーティーからナショナル劇場みたいなところまでいろんなところでやられてるっていうものを監督はそれぞれのところで見せていって、また種田さんもそれぞれのところの違いを際立たせてくださったと思います。
And I think it's not only in Kabuki, even in Shakespeare, where there would be traveling troops, or you'd start small until you were in the National Theater. So the director really saw that, and then that's where also then Taneda-san would come in and create the contrast in the journey.
And I think, we Westerners have our blinders on, but it's important to remember kabuki is contemporaneous with Shakespeare, crafting those themes, and it's that universal thing that we all feel. And I was thinking about especially the pressure. Oh my God, the pressure. I love the scene where they talk about show me the spin, and they just talk about the spin, and it forces you to think about just every movement is thought about, and whether it's you're an NBA player or an NFL player or a kabuki theater or a ballet, that kind of like nothing, no step is accidental. It is such an art form. You've had quite a festival run. You premiered in Cannes, you've been in Toronto, you're going to be at the Tokyo International Film Festival, of course, this coming week, where Variety will be. If you go to variety.com, we'll have lots of coverage. We have a big team. It's a great lineup this year, some great tributes. What has impressed you about how audiences in Cannes, in Toronto, how audiences that are not Japanese have responded to the movie?
そして最初初めてカンヌで上映した時は本当おっしゃる通り歌舞伎映画だとしてちょっと色物で見られるじゃないですけども 珍しいものだから見ようみたいなお客さんが来るんじゃないかと思っていたんですけれども、蓋を開けたらみんなやっぱりそのアーティストとしての共感だったり、ユニバーサルなその普遍的なテーマに共感してくれる、また俳優のお芝居に共感してくれたり、映像の美しさ、そのシネマティックビジョンを評価してくれたりっていうところがすごく大きかったですね。なのでこう映画館で見るべき映画だって言ってもらえるのが本当に一番どこの国に行っても大きかったことです。
So when at first when we were at Cannes, as you said, we thought maybe people would go see it because it's a movie about kabuki. You don't see that very often. But once I started conversations post-screening, a lot of them says as artists, as filmmakers, they really connected with the universal themes and being able to connect with what the actors were trying to communicate and their experience, the cinematic vision. And over again, anyone who has seen KOKUHO says that this is a must-see. You have to see it in the theater.
Oh, the frames are so gorgeous. The frames are so beautifully painted. They are gorgeous, especially at the end where you just feel that transfixing. And I love that you don't tell us what the ending is. We get to think about what our ending is. Let me end. My last question for you is terrific cast, incredible actors. Ryo Yoshizawa, Ryusei Yokohama, and Ken Watanabe. I mean, that's a really incredible cast. What did each of those actors bring to their performance, and how did they influence the sort of shape and the final product of the movie? I'd love both of your perspectives.
そうですね、まずやっぱり吉沢亮さんは、監督がもう吉沢亮さんならこの難しい、もともと原作がある小説がある役だったので、この難しいなんでしょうね、表現しにくい役を表現できるっていうところから始まったんですけれども、まあお稽古もそうですし、役作りも含めて本当に全てを捧げてくださったし、その姿を見ていろんな他の役者さんたちもインスパイアされたと思います。で、横浜流星さんが監督と前の作品を一緒にやっていたところもあって、すごく本当にやる気と根性があって、本当に一生懸命臨んでくださった。で、それもまた吉田亮さんにとってもいいインスパイアになったと思います。で、渡辺謙さんはもう皆さんが一番ご存知のスターなんですけれども、すごくこう謙虚で現場で本当に朗らかだし、すごく熱心に役に入り、歌舞伎の稽古にも励んでくださって、もうみんなが、私も本当に頭が下がるし、学ぶところばっかりの役者なんでした。
So starting with Yoshizawa Ryo, KOKUHO is based on an original novel, and so based on the Kiko in that novel, the director was like, we have to have Ryo. So that was a definite must, and because the director felt he would be able to carry this very complex, difficult character, and you know everything from training. All the training that was put in and the rehearsal, he really gave it his all, and as the lead in the film, it really inspired everyone else. And with Ryusei, he had actually worked with the director of the previous film, and he just had so much intention, chutzpah, going into the work, and just that lot of spunk that
Yiddish by way of Japanese, that's awesome.
You know, but
That's a global village.
yeah,
I love it.
like we're gonna do it. So it was wonderful seeing the two of them inspire each other. And then of course Ken Watanabe, we all are very familiar with him, but when he's on set, he was so focused and just really also gave himself over to telling the story that we were, you know, he's so experienced, but he was so just humble and there for the work that we were just all in astonishment with him. So we learned so much from him. So those 3 actors.
If one of them was not as good, to have that whole journey. Taneda-san.
同じ質問でいいです。はい。僕にとってはですね、その2人の役者がいたことで、江戸時代の昔の古典的な芸能を現代に持ってくる。映画の中で今のお客さんたち、若い人たちに見せるっていう時の、通訳として彼らがすごく機能したと思うんですね。とても敷居の高い歌舞伎を見たことがないような人たちにとって、彼ら2人の友情とか人生を通して歌舞伎を見ることができた。なので、スーッと歌舞伎の世界に入ることができたっていうことと、あとは物語とその歌舞伎のセットが微妙に絡まり合ってですね、2人のストーリーとその人生と、ステージがうまくこう表裏一体になるように作っていたというところで、一般の歌舞伎を知らない人たちが見ても歌舞伎の世界に入れたということが一番大きなことかなと思っています。
And so for me, the 2 actors were really able to bring Edo to now, almost, and really bring in the young crowd who are, because kabuki tickets are expensive, the young people aren't going to really go, but because of these 2 actors, they were able to be interpreters of kabuki to the current generation. And through their, through their friendship and their lives, kabuki all of a sudden became very accessible to this new younger crowd. And then you bring in the story and the set along with the 2 actors, and everything is woven together and into one. And at the end, so that was how I see how the actors, what the actors brought to KOKUHO.
It's so, everybody knows it takes so much for it to all come together so beautifully. I heard you both use the word honto. And honto means truth, it means authentic, and this is a honto movie. This is a really terrific movie. Again, I want to congratulate you on the success, and really thank you for bringing it to us, and thank you for taking the time to speak with us about it. And good luck as you continue on in the festival circuit and into award season.
Thank you.